Hello ladies and gentlemen, BTM here bringing you game number 7 in Interjections Challenges of the New World Series. Let me pause before we get this game underway. On the top of the map, in the blue, we have playing as Spanish, we have Yumu, and on the bottom in red playing as German, we have Aizamk. The series is currently tied at 3-3. The stipulation to this contest is that every player, each player, both of them, two of them I should say, so every player, as in both of them, must win a game with each civilization. And Aizamk has currently won a game with the British, the Russian, and the French, and Yumu has won with the British, the Ottoman, and the French as well. So this is both are tied 3v3, entering into game 7 of this series. And let's get this game underway without any further ado. Everything's going to be substandard, nothing super exciting at the beginning. Gathering gathering hunts, gathering crates. Interesting. Let's take a quick look at the map. We can see that Yumu has this excellent, very large herd right here. That's a very good advantage. He's also going to grab that trading post instead of just waiting to get his first one. He is trying to do it, of course, before the Travois man, who is very underrepresented in this game, arrives, and he should be able to indeed. Meanwhile, Aizamk is just doing standard German things. So let's take a quick look at the herds, though. I deviated from my course. There is, of course, a very large herd right here. There's a line of herds across the middle, and I guess this is Aizamk's closest herd, and it's not a very good herd. So Aizamk definitely is a little bit herd screwed here. There's no back herd over here for him, whereas Yumu does have a back herd of deer. There's no super accessible front herd of buffalo or bison, whereas there is one for Yumu. He's actually already going to grab it because it's so close. There's only this herd, which is relatively far away. So that's important to note. Treasure-wise, there's 60 XP, 75 coin. That's an EXP treasure, you can tell by looking at. This is 95 wood or 75 wood. 95 wood. Of course, the coin deers, 70 coin, and then some food. I guess Yumu already, or Aizamk already gathered up his coin in his town. So let's get the game going on a little bit more faster. Let's look at Fog of War. Yumu is, of course, going for 70 coin, and that's to be expected if you would expect Yumu to indeed be aging with a fast fortress. And by the way, you missed it there, but Yumu was a little bit, he did population himself with sending the 3 settler card and had to build the house. He had a very brief idle period where he wasn't making villagers, but that happens to all of us, so no shame there. And you gotta kind of think, now we've looked at the map, let's kind of think about the bigger picture here. Spanish is well known for their fast fortress. So if you're Aizamk playing as German, you have to be kind of planning your agenda in terms of thinking about what Yumu is going to do. Spanish is very known for a very strong, very powerful fast fortress. And so I think it kind of almost is going to be a little bit inhibiting to Aizamk, because he's going to know that Yumu is going to want to go for a fast fortress. So he's probably going to have to take a more boomy approach and really try to either fast fortress himself or really kind of mass up units and take a more economical playstyle. Meanwhile, Yumu has picked his deck, which, if you'll notice, says land colonial, and this is actually going to be a huge factor, because even though this is a very ground orientated strong colonial deck for Aizamk, it also does have all the normal third age cards as well. So I think it actually could function either way. And so what's interesting to me here is Yumu's got 14 villagers, 15. Looks like he's probably going to make one more, so he'll age with 16 villagers. And Aizamk, of course, is going to probably age with 17 or 16, whatever's normal. Ooh, something's fighting over there. Whatever's normal for Germany. But he's got to keep an eye. As you can see, he's walking through Aizamk's town, or Yumu's town right now. Aizamk's got to keep an eye on Yumu. He's got to know what Yumu is doing all the time. If Yumu is able to, send an important shipment and Aizamk misses it, such as 700 wood rather than 700 coin to begin the game, that's going to be a game changer. Aizamk is aging up with the quartermaster, which means he will get 400 wood. Meanwhile, Yumu is aging up with the governor, which means he'll get 200 gold and a tower. Now that's pretty standard for a fast fortress, but what isn't standard is what's going on right now. Most of the villagers to wood, with some still on food. They should be going to coin and to food if he's doing a fast fortress, but instead he's gathering wood really quickly, His explorer is heading back to his town, and as soon as he has 200 wood, yes, he's going to put up a second trade post. And this is a key moment in the game, because as Azamp's playing down at the bottom of the map, he's really got to be thinking, once he sees that, once that trade post is built and he sees a trade post icon appear, and there it is, the icon will appear up here, of course, when it's done being built. That's going to change what Azamp thinks is going on. Azamp, of course, does have a majority of his villagers on wood. He does have this settler up here, or villager, if you will, gathering food. But the war dog Polo will actually see it. And it's actually kind of funny. Yumu's explorer is named Polo Loco, I believe. And the war dog is named Queso? No, that's Polo. There was a dog named Queso, I thought, somewhere at some point. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, I'll be quiet now. Anyway, Azamp is, of course, trying to bring this back herd to him, because what other herd does he have? He's trying to bring this one, and that's still really, really far away. So he's trying to get this herd to him. Also, potential forward base site, gonna make more villagers. Has enough wood, bought market upgrades, has enough wood to build a barracks ASAP, but he's not gonna do that. He's building a trading post, and then he's building a stable of his own. And this, to me, is kind of interesting, because if you pause here, right, and look at what Yumu is doing. Yumu has 3 shipments available. He also has a tower, which will end up going up over here, like right there, between these 2 really good herds, and to protect his trading post. But Yumu has 3 shipments available. Azamp, on the contrast, has 1, and he just sent it. He's sending a very boomy approach. But look what Yumu ends up doing. Yumu is building his barracks right away, is going to send 700 wood, and that is a key moment in the game. Look at what where Azamp's explorer is building this trading post. Don't blame him, you know, he wants to get on the trading post action, but this is crucial because he's building a stable, and Spanish units massacred German Uhlans. Musketeers are good against Uhlans. Rodilleros are good against Uhlans. Pikemen are good against Uhlans. Most of the units that he'll be seeing will be able to kill his Uhlans. Now, of course, his villager is being attacked by the dog, and it's going to force the villager to move a little bit, but she's still going to keep working to get this herd back to him. But going with the stable first and making Uhlans, if he had seen the 700 wood, I have to assume that he wouldn't have gone with the stable. Because look at Yumu now. He's got his barracks up. If Azamp had seen that, he would have not gone up with a stable. I mean, I can't fathom him having built a stable first if he had seen that. Mainly because he would know what Yumu is doing, but he doesn't yet. So he's just going to send 300 or 3 settler wagons, which of course comes with 2 Uhlans, and he's going to try to build an Uhlan mass, which will end up being slightly inefficient. Meanwhile, Umeu with Polo Loco is just kind of scouting out the town a little bit. He's been able to scare off this villager. He's been able to prevent this herd from completely coming back, although it still could be pulled in. And now he is going to lose a war dog, but he's kind of got an idea of what's going on. Meanwhile, Azamp does have some more Uhlans popping, but you got to wonder, is that wise to be making Uhlans, you know, when Yumu is probably making the counter units? And yep, there comes the Rodilleros. Now look at this. Interesting. They come in. He realizes his explorer is lost and he runs away. But if we took out the fog of war, we could see that Azamp had run away as well. So neither player wanted to go end up engaging themselves. But you look at this. 8 pikemen. Now he sent... Oh, I meant... Okay, he sent the 700 wood. He then sent 8 pikemen. And he's got 2 more shipments available. Not to mention that he's upgrading the stagecoach route too. So he's in a very, very strong position. If he can get a little bit of early pressure on, he's going to do a tremendous amount of damage. Meanwhile, 2 settler wagons coming from Germany, Azamp as well. So Azamp is still, and I don't know this, so maybe he could tell us or not. I feel, it is my impression, that Azamp is playing this as if he expects, you know, fog of war, as if he expects this, although he has seen the barracks, but as if he expects this to be a fast fortress. I think that's just my impression. I feel like he's still playing this as if he expects this to be a fast fortress rather than a colonial agenda from Yumu. And I think that's all the difference in the world. So meanwhile, these Rodilleros are putting a little bit of pressure on the units. Yumu is shipping 5 villagers now. More Rodilleros. He shipped the 8 pikemen. The Uhlans are going to be massacred here if he gets lucky enough. Let's see the fog of war. Oh, wow. Look at that. Pause. Anti-cav, and Azamp is just like a boss running down between them. Pretty awesome nonetheless. But let's look at Azamp's position. he doesn't know that all this pressure is coming. You got to think, none of his units can do pretty well. He's getting a barracks built up now. He's got no wood, 7 idle villagers in the town center. That's about a third of his economy. And here in comes some pikemen that are just going to be able to wreck him. And the pikemen are going to avoid the town center, are just going to start sieging down a house. And if you look at the population for Aizamk, 48 out of 50, and no wood, you know, of course, he's in some housing trouble. Not to mention, his military's been more or less neutered. Like, and I mean neutered. It's been neutered by what Yumu's doing. His units are just owning them. Ulan dying in the middle of the map. He is fighting a mass of villagers at the bottom with a few Rodaleros, but, you know, that's what, 2 or 3 Rodaleros keeping 5 settler wagons off work. That's not a bad deal, you know what I mean? And just making a mass circling around, doing a lot of damage to these Ulan, who end up having to run away, but end up taking more damage as they're trying to run away. Now they're going to have to fight these pikemen. One goes down, these 2 are both damaged. There's more Rodaleros on the way. Meanwhile, Yumu shipped 4 villagers. Sorry, I didn't look at that, but we can go look right now. He had shipped 4 villagers. Now he's sending 600 wood and the 700 gold. So while Aizamk sat and tried to boom, Yumu put a little bit of pressure on, used a trading post to shipment boom with his shipments, and it's got a ton of pressure. And at this point, you have to wonder about what Aizamk can do. Now, I was a little bit surprised. He's sending 3 Doppelsoldners. He'll end up making some more right now. He's got 2 on the field. I don't know why he went Doppelsoldners. I still felt as though he should have gone Expo Pike. I just don't know. But we do see some Doppelsoldners coming in. He's very confident, I would say, in their ability to kill things. Let's see. He's going to start queuing them up. Yep, there. He's got some Doppelsoldners being queued up. 3 Doppelsoldners about to pop. And we are going to see a little bit of a skirmish over here. Let's turn off the Fog of War, though, so you guys can see the mini-map while this game's going on. He's got the Doppelsoldners and a few Ulan. They are going to get a little bit of skirmish with this army over here. But, I mean, if you think about it game-wise, if we just pause, take 1 second, right? Score is identical, 8 minutes into the game, and just pause and think. 25 villagers for Aizamk, right? And of course, 5 of them, probably more than 5. 5, 8. Wait, he had 3 settler wagons, sent 2. That's 5 plus 2 more, 7. 10 settler wagons max. So possibly a 35 villager economy, possibly not. If you go to Yumu, right, a 33 villager economy. So the booms are really close. And in addition to that, he's got the extra trading posts and has upgraded them. So Yumu's already in better position. He has a bigger mass, right? And then here's the kicker. Where's Aizamk going to get his food from? He's eating these herds, right? These deer. There's a few dead bison left over. But where is he going to get his food from? This area isn't safe. This is way too far away. Has Aizamk even scouted this out yet? Like, we just put it on the Fog of War. Okay, he's seen this. But there's a tower right there, so he can't really go there. This is the only place, way over here is the only place he'll be able to get food. But if you look at it from Yumu's perspective, he's still got food in his town. And he has safe access to this herd, and he has access to this mine in addition to the 2 in his town. So you got to think, if you look at it from Aizamk's perspective, Aizamk, whether he realizes or not in this position, is already, I hate to say lost the game, but at a very severe disadvantage. And this is even though their scores are identical. This may be things that neither of them have noticed yet, and some of them are map control, some of them are military unit wise, but it's just really interesting at this point. 4 Doppelsoldners about to pop. And this is actually really cool. You know, don't underestimate Doppelsoldners. I definitely did before I watched this video. Look at how well the Doppelsoldners just butcher through the pikemen and through the Rodalero. They just get caught. Look at this. Units dropping left and right, and that's actually a big win for Aizamk at a time when he needed a win. But again, at this time, with these Doppelsoldners on the field, having killed about half of Yumu's forces, I would say switch if you can to crossbowmen or something, because Yumu's going to start making ranged units. Yep, there's some musketeers, and once you know you got musketeers, you can just hit and run all over the field. In fact, here's some musketeers walking in right now. Let's see if they get that 1 Doppelsoldner. Half down. That Doppelsoldner died. That was 250 resources, right? Because they're 150 of each, right? Or 125. I don't remember. No, either way. They're just ridiculously expensive units, and he just lost one. So, I mean, you got to think about Aizamk. He's behind already in the counter. He made Ulans, and most of them died immediately. He's got Doppelsaunders that soon aren't going to be super effective. And he's got more Uhlans coming, which I guess is kind of a decent choice. But if you think about it, if Yumu's going Musketeers, those Uhlan aren't going to be super helpful anyway unless he's raiding. But he hasn't even been able to raid anything. Yumu, as far as he can see, is safe in his base and has a tower near the other herd. And unfortunately for him, this herd's wandering away from his line of sight. His herds are all out of reach. He's in a bad way. He is trying to age. He's going to age right now. Did he do the fast age? Yeah, he did the fast age, which I understand why. If he can get to the third age, right, he can send 8 skirmishers, 7 skirmishers, 9 Ulan, 8 Ulan in a really good way. But meanwhile, Yumu is about to age too, and he's got way better map control and a bigger mass. And now that he's got some musketeers to provide some cover for his Rodaleros, there's really nothing he has to fear besides town center fire, and that is a house going up, I believe. Yes, okay. But look at him. Yumu is just going to kill that house. Now look at the house. The house is about to fall. Let's switch to Aizamk's perspective. 66 out of 70, right? Boom. Now he's overpopped. Now here's something interesting. After that house falls, Yumu runs away, and there's a military force en route to engage. So if I was Aizamk, I would have canceled this colonial militia at this point, and here's why. Watch. Colonial militia they're starting to lose health, right? Nope, not a single musketeer has died yet. They've gotten, okay, 1 musketeer dies, and the Rodaleros die, but they would have killed them anyway. And look, the Minutemen just end up not being a huge help in terms of killing things, I think. Okay, they get some decent shots here off, and that's actually pretty good. I can't underestimate that. But Yumu was already retreating, and Yumu is aging to the 3rd age anyway. He doesn't need to worry about fighting this. In fact, he's got 15, or 11, I should say, more musketeers on the way. He's run out of resources, and he's just shifting to somewhere else. And he's going to send a really good Fortress Age military shipment. Meanwhile, Aizamk is pushing over to this trading post. And if you pause and look at his army, but I won't pause just for the sake of brevity of time, 8 Doppelsaunders, 2 Ulan, and 6 Minutemen. That's not a force enough to take down the outpost. In fact, if Yumu microed the outpost on his Minutemen, he could have killed every Minuteman easily, probably even before his musketeers walked in. Now he's going to end up using his musketeers to just try to pick them off. He's going to lose 1, 2. Come on, get your shot off. I know you're going to do it. Boom, there's 1 Minuteman down. And so there was no real gain there. Meanwhile, Aizamk has no resources. He's literally having to walk across the map with some settlers to try to get to food. And he's got a ton of settlers on wood. And he's going with war wagons now. And I have to question, right, of what you've seen, right? Here, we saw musketeers, all right? War wagons are good against musketeers. But everywhere else we fought, when he was pressuring your town, all you saw were anti-cav. I don't know that war wagons in this situation are a good choice, especially since Yumu massing Rodaleros. Like, seriously massing Rodaleros. Look at the amount of Rodaleros. He's got over 17 in production, 6 more coming from his home city, and nothing to really fear. Meanwhile, he's also trying to take control of this. He's going to be building a tower. He's got 2 villagers on the way to go build it. Let's take off the fog of war and actually watch this from both perspectives. There's Aizamk gathering the food. This is the only source of food he can really possibly securely access. And Yumu's building a tower. And there comes even more of Aizamk's villagers. And if you look here, this is really interesting. Here's some of Yumu's army. Here's some of Yumu's army. Yumu's army. All flooding in there. And here's Aizamk's army. And this is actually a little bit of an advantage, I think, towards Aizamk. Is that he does have 2 army clusters, but his armies are a little bit more united. And so there is going to be a little bit of fight here. There's 6 Rodaleros against a very much larger force of war wagons and Ulans. Same here, however, these units are probably, well, the Doppelsaunders should be able to hold them off. Although once those musketeers get in, that's going to be an ugly fight for Aizamk. I can't help but think. Well, okay, so let's check the look at this. This fight obviously was a pretty easy win. That outpost would be destroyed. If I were Aizamk, I would have liked to have seen him bring that force up to unite with this force and pursue this force back. He hasn't put any pressure on the map. Keep in mind also that this tower's still up here. All these herds are still under Yumu's control. Now he's going to get his forces united, I hope, right? Or is he going to do 2 separate armies? Okay, so he's got 1 army going up right now, and this army just sitting here. Are they going to unite? Let's take a quick peek, because Okay, they are going to unite. Now, here's something that's interesting. He's got some skirmishers coming, but if you look at his army composition, right, he's got 4 Ulan, but what's the rest of his army? The rest of his army is 9 war wagons or so, right, and a bunch of Doppelsoldners, and that's pretty much it. Okay, that will be killed by skirmishers, and since we're looking at it from Yumu's perspective, not only are there all these units, he's got 8 skirmishers about to pop for certain right now. So if you're Aizamk, right, who's shipping 8 Ulan as we're speaking, he shouldn't have pushed before he had the Ulan, in my opinion. I mean, he couldn't have known, obviously, that all these skirmishers were about to pop, but he could have known that his military was weak to 1 unit, and he could have known that Yumu was also in the age and might have that unit on its way. So this is a bad situation. Notice here, forward, back, not doing anything, isolated, and very isolated. So this is, even though their forces are arguably very equal at this point, Aizamk is so scattered and out of position. Look, he's gonna have to walk them all around, and while his units are walking around, shots are just getting fired off. He is gonna get some Doppelsoldners in on some villagers, but they're not really doing anything. They've walked over there, they're walking back, they're walking here. Now they're gonna get into some fighting, but there's only like 3 or 4 of them left. The war wagons are being horribly beaten. A few more skirmishers coming. The 8 Ulan are on their way, but he's lost most of his force. Yumu's in a huge pursuit, and meanwhile, of course, Yumu's still gathering safely on this side of the map, although Aizamk has been able to get his side as well. Look at this force. A little bit better now that the Ulans are on the field, but if he had had those earlier or had waited to push until he had those, would have been a better situation. 2 falconets coming, and this is a misplay by Yumu. He walks him in towards Aizamk, who only has cav at this point in time, and Aizamk will see these and will go for them immediately. He is trying to pursue in melee mode, but he won't get there in time. That is 1 falconet dead, and now the other is going to be butchered pretty quickly by these Ulan. But the Ulan, do they die? Nope. A few get out, but that one dies. So of those 8 Ulan, that one will die. 3 escapes, and the rest of his military, that used to be around 30 units, died. So he's got about 8 military units left. Meanwhile, Yumu has a big force, and here's what I really like what Yumu did. He immediately went on the aggressive. There's so many times I see players just go back and sit in their town. Yumu's going on the aggressive, and something he's doing that's really smart is he's going to where Aizamk is gathering. Let's actually see if Aizamk knows yet. Yeah, he knows because of that house. So Aizamk's about to be in a world of trouble, not to mention that these skirmishers are picking off units that are just randomly walking across the middle of the map. A little bit of a misplay. Those are being killed. 1 down, 2 down, 3, 2 down for certain. Nope, he could have killed them all. I think he probably should have, but killing these units as well. I think Aizamk's lost track of some of his units because he's losing them for almost needless reasons. And meanwhile, that mass of skirmishers has to be on their way from Yumu. Has to be incoming. More Rodaleros incoming. Let's see where the skirmishers are. Yep, the massive skirmishers are on their way. These villagers are holding off decently, but they're not going to be able to stop anything. You know what I mean? Here comes the mass, and now these villagers are going to get off the one source of food that Aizamk really had. Meanwhile, Yumu's still just happily gathering. And if you look at their economy, Yumu's at 38 villagers, Aizamk's at 37. Yumu does have the 2 trading posts, but Yumu's got a really steady supply. 37 villagers, sure, for Aizamk, right? Plus the settler wagons, which actually makes it a lot more than 37, probably closer to possibly 47. But look at what's gathering, 21, 26. There's 11 villagers not working because they're going to have to travel. And as this pressure ramps up, these villagers are going to have to keep traveling some more. So again, it's one of those situations where Aizamk may, by number of villagers, be doing better, but map position in this situation is going to win him over. He is trying to gather coin from this mine and build a barracks. Yumu does end up seeing this, and he's still going to gather with impunity, but he's pretty much ruined Aizamk's gathering pretty solidly at this point. He's now got some lancers on the field, and that's just smart playing. He knows that Aizamk's going to have to go with some skirmishers. He's going to take down this outpost, and if he's smart, he should see this and look down there. He should also go to this mine, which he's already doing, and when he goes up to this mine, he will indeed find some settlers and some settler wagons there, and these villagers are going to flee there because they have to. And Azamp's in a really bad way. That push lost him the game, although I think the initial going with Cav as the first unit choices and losing them, I think that kind of spilled the beginning of the end. I think that was already a really uphill battle to climb from. And then that untimed push where he was out of position and didn't have Uhlans yet really kind of put him in a lot of trouble. Lost all those villagers, didn't even bother to run them. He did that, of course, to save these 2 or 3 settler. I think there's only 2. Are there 2 or 3? Those settler wagons. Meanwhile, Azamp's making a little bit of a push. He killed a good amount of settlers. How many are in this tower? 10. Okay, so we killed 1 or 2 actually, if I remember correctly from looking at the charts. And there's just more military. At this point, the mass that Yumu has is so superior to what Azamk has. It's not even funny. I also feel like I should mention that when there was this initial skirmish in the town, Aizamk did send, or Yumu did send his Minutemen. So if you look back here, and I'm going to do just a quick speed up, right? Look at the units, right? A quick little engagement. They're going to burn down the outpost. And Azamk's just sitting in this town. And if we pause here, right? Outpost down. Barracks is about to go down. He sent Jaegers, I believe, or he's about to. He's got some skirmishers, but he's running so fast out of resources. He's building a town center, but it's kind of out of position because this is what he really needs. I mean, he already ate that gold mine. He really needs this gold mine and that herd. He lost control of this very, very plentiful side. He had all his skirmishers up there and couldn't hold it to Yumu's superior forces. Yumu, meanwhile, is eating the rest of the buffalo, the rest of this mine. Probably will go and try to eat this mine as well. And there's not much else on the map to eat, and Azamp's in a really bad position. So if you just go to finish it and finish the match, he's got some, from Azamp's perspective, he's got his Jaegers on the way, 13 of them. And he's got some skirmishers, but he's not going to be able to do anything. He also has a Doppelsodner upgrade coming and 4 Doppelsodners from here. And Doppelsodners are only 200 resources ahead. Okay, not 250 or whatever I said they were. But not a great position. The Doppelsodners are going to pop out and be killed immediately. The Jaegers are going to pop out and die relatively quickly unless these forces are there. And now this kind of a ring-like construction of his town is almost working to, well, it's working for him, keeping the Rodoleros from rushing in, but it's certainly not doing a ton of help. Meanwhile, the Doppelsodners are taking a lot of fire. The Jaegers are going to pop out in a lot of trouble as well. Here they come. I mean, they'll definitely do a lot of damage. And now he's got his skirmishers and his Jaegers definitely united pretty well. Did a good job there. But Yumu's forces are so freaking massive. Not to mention, Aizamk can't really afford to make any more, but Yumu can definitely afford to make more. He's got a ton of food. Running out of coin, obviously. Marching down to this mine, I assume. Yep. But he can put his trading posts on coin and get more coin. He's not in trouble. He could even go Expo Pike if he really needed to. The game's kind of, he can still do things, and there's nothing that Yumu can do. He's sending 12 pike. That would help destroy some buildings if necessary, but the game's pretty much over at this point, and Aizamk will resign soon. So Aizamk definitely was herd screwed. And actually, I think I don't want to underplay how well Yumu played, because they're both way better players than me. Both of them are. But if there was a really good herd for Aizamk right outside his town, he would have fared better at the very least, because he wouldn't have had to go try to push for this herd, and he wouldn't have been as off foot, if you will, the entire time. But I do think that the biggest mistake, or the biggest game changer, if you will, was not seeing that the 700 wood was shipped, and maybe not being aware that there was a colonial agenda going on. Because if he had known there was a colonial agenda, I don't think he would have gone with the stable first. And if he had, I'd like to know why. Because that, I mean, obviously standard play is boring, but going against a stable when you know they're only going to make anti-calf is just, it's not super effective. So I think that was kind of the reason why Aizamk lost this game. Military-wise, you can look at the timeline and see the direct push where Yumu came in. And look, Yumu had 39 units, went down to 25. Aizamk had 30 or 37 units, I believe, 38, and went down to 11. They got split up. He lost 5 more, and he built up pretty decently, but nothing compared to the mass that Yumu was fielding on the field. Fielding on the field, English. So really fun, exciting game. I think this was kind of an interesting game because it's very much like chess between high-level players. You know, Aizamk's kind of thinking, is he going to do a fast fortress? Yumu's kind of thinking, I know Aizamk does weird strategies. So a really interesting game all around. It was a pleasure to watch. And Game 8 will also be on my channel, and then all the rest will be on Interjections. So thank you guys very much for watching. My name is BTM, and until next time, good luck and happy hunting. I will catch you all later.